Welcome back to the hottest talk show on the internet. You are listening to MNS, aka the Ford Podcast, and today we're talking about the MMA goats, as well as we're gonna touch on the boxing goats.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Milan? How are you doing?
You know, I'm doing good, man. I'm just chilling. 2 weeks off from school, so obviously I'm gonna have so much time on my hands. Gonna have to do some productive stuff. Man. I'm not gonna lie.
This is
I don't
the
even
first,
know what I'm gonna do.
the first ever Wednesday episode of the podcast.
That's true. We're recording this on Monday. As we said before, boys, we're gonna treat you with 4 podcasts this week, and as promised, the long-awaited GOAT episode. This isn't gonna be numbered. This is just gonna be its own little thing. Now, unfortunately, boys, in classic Milan fashion, I didn't do this until 30 minutes ago. So this might not be my most realistic GOATs list of all time.
Schmuck.
It's probably the closest you can get, realistically. So then, we're gonna do MMA GOATs. I did the women's list, the men's list, and then I'll acapella the boxing list. But I already know who I'm gonna say.
We all know there's only one GOAT in boxing, and that is Katie Taylor.
Katie Taylor is the GOAT, man. What can I say? But
Katie Taylor is the GOAT of
are we doing women's boxing and men's boxing, or
boxing.
just boxing, like men's boxing?
I must be honest, I don't watch women's boxing.
Well, we could say Katie Taylor and Holly Holmes, because she was a boxing champ
Holly
as well.
Holm. What was that? Who's that woman who's now fighting in PFL? The greatest female boxer of all time. That's who it is.
Fucking Clarissa Shields.
Something like, yeah, she's the GOAT. There you go.
Nah, she's not the GOAT.
Because she's won at multiple weight. Cause she's won the belts at
listen, I don't want to chat shit, yeah, but she won in her all the belts in her 4th fight, man. Let's be real, man. The competition.
But she was Olympic champ. She was Olympic champ.
I have to respect that though. No disrespect to Clarissa. Shout out to Clarissa, but I don't know, man. It's a bit fishy how she just wins all her belts in her fucking first ever fight. Wait, let me actually check.
Two-time Olympic gold medalist.
There's a reason actually, yeah, because she is the fucking. She won her first title, the vacant NABF, at her 2nd fight, and in her 3rd fight she won the WBC Silver Female Super Middle title. So
yeah,
this actually pretty impressive, because your first ever fight is your only fight where there wasn't a title involved. It's kind of a flex, but bro, that's the women's boxing side done. Basically.
Because neither of us really know a lot about women's boxing.
Man,
so
I know everything about women's boxing. Okay, I'm not sexist like Sean, so.
I'm not a sexist. I just don't.
Sean,
know
name
the
every
sport
woman.
that well.
Name every woman. Go.
Okay.
If you're not a sexist, go.
I just can't, man. I can't
Exactly.
name every
You're
woman.
fucking sexist, bro.
Okay, name every Irish person. Name every Irish person.
Why? Okay, what has this got to do with being sexist, man?
Name every black person.
What?
Name every black person ever. Go. You see, he can't. Racist.
Bro, you do it then, huh?
No, see, I'm asking you, that's why. You racist.
I can't be racist, man.
M&S, their most podcast.
I'm censoring that. Oh, fuck's sake, man. First time snapping, man.
It just looks like I said the N-word.
No, oh my fucking god, man. Stop. Guys, he didn't do that, man. Let's not. No cancellations in this here, man, yeah? We've been going strong since the 13th of February, I think. So, we've been going strong. But listen, man, shut your fucking mouth, yeah? Listen. Let's start, yeah? The first list that I've got. Have you done any women's MMA goats?
Yes, I do, but we'll start off. Do you want to start off with the women?
Yeah, so I did the women's featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight, and strawweight divisions.
I did not do that.
Did you just do general?
I just did one overall thing called the GWOATs.
Oh, you just chose one. Oh, damn.
And I have Nunes number 1,
Oh,
then
fuck, Sean,
Cyborg,
you're
then
cut
number
out for
3
me
is
in
to
my
be determined
Discord,
because I
man. I
don't
can't actually hear
feel
you.
any other
Wait,
woman
say
stands
something?
out as a definitive.
Oh, you're back. Say something?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. What were you saying?
I said Nunes. I have as number 1 as the GWOAT. Then I have
Uh-huh.
Chris Cyborg. And then the number 3 is to be determined because I feel Shevchenko could definitely get in there.
Yeah.
But she's got to beat, she got to just get a few more dubs. And then, like, Zhang Weili could obviously get in there.
Mm-hmm.
But she's probably going to fight Shevchenko, realistically. Or Rose Namajunas. Like, I don't think any one of them stand out above the rest.
Yeah.
And that's why I have only 2 women GWOATs in MMA. And the third is to be determined for me anyways.
Yeah, so I did, basically, what I did is I did 2 goats in every
Milan, you absolute schmuck.
weight class. But, like, kind of like a runner-up and an actual goat. But in some, like, I couldn't decide. So, basically, women's featherweight, I said
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg. Women's bantamweight, I put Amanda and Holly Holmes. Women's flyweight, I said Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Andrade. Women's strawweight, I said Rose Namajunas and Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
I'm going to be honest. I don't agree with that. What you've gone for there with Holly Holm.
Why not, man?
You just going to discount that Ronda Rousey ever exist.
Well, the thing is, I was going to put Ronda Rousey in, but the thing is, every single big fight that she had, she crumbled.
Ronda Rousey?
Mm-hmm.
I think the same can be said for Holly Holm except for the Ronda Rousey fight. She beat Ronda Rousey, but Ronda Rousey before that smashed people. Was just smashing people. And then
That's true, but like, tell
I
me,
just put Ronda above.
Ronda did actually beat some big names though. She did beat one of the GOATs, Misha Tate, who's coming out of retirement soon actually.
I'd put Ronda Rousey above Holly Holm personally.
But I
Because
don't
Holly
know.
Holm is just getting smashed 24/7.
Because the thing is, Holly Holmes, she has, not only is she a decorated MMA fighter, but hasn't she dabbled in a bit of boxing and K1, right? She's like won titles there as well.
Of course. I think she has you.
Interestingly, looking at the records here as well, she's beaten Ronda, but she lost to Misha Tate. I don't know, Holly Holmes,
Math.
I might switch that out, I don't know. Do you know what? I'm going to add my lottery pick into these GOATs. I'm going to have to put Ronda because the thing is, not only that, she fucking put in so much, brought so much attention to MMA. That's the thing. Yeah, my bad, Ronda. I know you're listening. Shout out to Ronda.
Shout out
That's my
Ronda.
lottery pick. She's sliding into that list. But one that stands out is obviously fucking Amanda Nunes. Like, you can't have a fucking GOAT list without her. That's the thing.
Amanda Nunes essentially invented female MMA. Like, she just destroys everyone she comes into contact with.
Facts. But that's basically our women's list for the GOATs in MMA. So, Sean, you ready to go for the men's? How did you do the men's ones?
I did. So I ordered it as in weight class. And at the end, I think we should talk about the overalls.
Yeah, okay. So
So I went
basically,
obviously we got flyweight first.
so let's talk about flyweight first then. Let's talk about
Number
flyweight.
1, I think we're probably the same. Demetrius Johnson.
Oh, yep. He
Then
is
number
my
2, I've
flyweight
got
goat.
Henry Cejudo.
The exact
and
same as
then-
me.
And then I have a number. I did a number 3. I did this for a lot of the weight classes. Just someone who I think could potentially challenge that. And I've got Davison Figueiredo. I think if he gets past Moreno, then he's not got much more to do to really be considered because he's cleaned out the division. He'll probably stay there realistically knowing this guy. Maybe he'll move up to 135, but I think he's almost cleared out 125 and he's got a few more challengers. But like he's got what's the guy? The deaf guy?
Askarov.
Askarov. That'll probably be a fight down the line if Figueiredo gets past Moreno. So I think Figueiredo is definitely in contention. That's why I have him down as a potential.
Sean, literally my list is the exact same as yours. I have number one, DJ. Number two, Cejudo, and then I guess I'll a cappella these runner ups, the potentials. I would say Fig as well. He has been a tremendous champion last year. He won the record for the shortest title, the amount of time between each title defense, which was like 22 days or something fucking mad. So definitely a potential GOAT in that division. But I think he'd definitely have to be some big, like, he'd have to dominate Marino, and then he'd have to basically dominate everyone else to be considered. Go on that lengthy title defense run, potentially beat DJ, and then we'll see. But
you gotta realize that there's one more name in the hat, and that is Joseph Benavidez.
Bro, what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm completely just waffling. Joseph Benavidez, I'm sorry, you would never be near a GOAT list. As long as I live, this man will never even touch a GOAT list, honestly. I just had to get a slight diss in there to Benavidez.
So that's our men's flyweight division, yeah? Oh wait, what else are we saying? Where is that over for that division?
Tell me about your bantamweight, Milan.
Sean, for my bantamweights, yeah, I said two names. The runner-up, I said Cejudo. You'd have to put in Cejudo because the man did obviously win his second belt there. Became triple champ. Although you might not like him, he has done bits in the sport. You have to realize. And number one, Sean, I'll put in Dominic Cruz as one of the GOATs. Because obviously that man's a fucking beast, innit?
See, I'm gonna say something you may not like.
Go for it, man.
So I've got number one Dominic Cruz. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But my number two does differ. Because this man at bantamweight is just ridiculous, and he never cheated at bantamweight. That is DJ. Sorry,
okay.
TJ Dillashaw.
Okay.
TJ Dillashaw Killershaw.
Boys,
I have him. I think he's a. I'm sorry. You're gonna say he's a drug cheat, but this guy like Cejudo. Let's get real. He has. Yeah, Cejudo has got defenses and stuff, but tell me. So he against Marlon Moraes. I'm fairly certain we can watch that back now if you want. That was a dodgy stoppage.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the Dominic Cruz. Okay, that's two of his, I think, three. He had three defenses or two title fights at. He had 2 or 3 title fights at 135.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he fought someone else. I'll pull it up. Cejudo. Let's pull up his share, dog.
Boys, I'm just gonna reinstate real quick, yeah? Put in before Sean even speaks, yeah? In my list. In my list, listen. So, obviously, there's a big name that stands out when you talk about GOATs, but obviously, I chose not to talk about people that have been busted and basically caught doing like some illegal substances, all apart from one division, because that's just how I roll, man. Listen, I have to say, yeah, the men's middleweight division might as well be called the juicy juice head fucking division, because I don't think there's a single clean fighter that has ever fought in that division. That's all I have to say for that. We'll talk about it when we get onto it. But what are you talking about, Sean?
You see, the thing with the TJ is they went back and they tested him for multiple other fights after that, because that's what you do. Yeah. To determine the length of suspension. So he got an instant 2-year suspension for the Cejudo fight, which he lost, which is hilarious. But like realistically, then before that, like, he hadn't cheated at all. Every other fight at bantamweight. So Cejudo's got 2 fights at bantamweight. Well, he actually has a few earlier in his career, not in the UFC, I believe. but he fought twice. He fought Marlon Moraes, dodgy stoppage, but he probably would have won that fight anyway. But then Dominic Cruz, another dodgy stoppage. Like, the thing is, with these dodgy stoppages, you could say, well, he was pushing the pressure, he was doing the business, but anything can happen in MMA, you know? Like,
Facts.
for example, literally a fight that just happened, which we'll be talking about more in depth on Wednesday, Vicente Luque versus
Oh dear.
Tyrone Woodley.
Let's not talk about that here. Let's not talk about that
I'm
here.
using it as an example for my point. Tyrone
Yeah.
Woodley hit this guy, and he was doing the chicken dance. Then, so if it was someone could, if you pause that fight there, people would ask who's going to win that fight, and most people would say, well, it's obvious, Tyrone Woodley's going to win that fight, you know.
Yeah.
But Vicente
Yeah.
Luque knocked him out. We didn't knock him out; he choked him out after he dropped him. So, like, the same thing happens. Like, with both of these fights, you can use that argument that Marlon Moraes could have come back. Dominic Cruz could have come back. So I don't see Cejudo as a bantamweight GOAT. You know what I mean? A flyweight, I can see that because he did so much with the division. But a bantamweight, he didn't really prove himself enough. Like, I think he needed to run it back with Dominic or run it with Aldo or, like, Jan or someone, you know? Because I think he left, like, just then, you know.
I guess you could say that, Sean, but again, although you're saying anything can happen, and Dominic could have came back and beaten him, but the same could go otherwise. Cejudo could have just like kept on beating him down, basically. Do you know what I mean? So, but again, it's the fight game. Anything can happen. But that's just what I said because Cejudo becoming double champ, and then beating Dominic Cruz, although it was a dodgy stoppage, he still was doing very well in the fight, and the fact that he got him in the situation where he's on the ground, he dropped him, he's ground and pounding, I think speaks very loudly about that performance. That's my bantamweight list there, Cejudo and Dominic. Do you have anyone that you would like to add, or anyone that you want to talk about?
I have 3 names that I can see potentially coming through. Now, the first one is the obvious. I think Piotr Jan will win against Aljo. And I think he's got the potential to go through and beat everyone in the division. If you just look at this guy, he looks unbeatable, Piotr Jan, to be honest.
No, he's a beast, yeah.
2 other names now, which I want to talk about. 13-0, Umar Nurmagomedov is a potential champion, I feel. And with the pedigree and the training he has, the trainer he has as well.
Coach of the year.
Coach of the year, Khabib. I think he's got the wrestling, he's got the stand-up to potentially keep the distance with those ridiculous kicks that he won't stop throwing.
We watched his last fucking fight, man. I didn't realize that we had a Dagestani Bruce Lee on our hands, man. It was actually disgusting.
And he uses wrestling as well, amazingly. So I just think
obvious
that
he's from Dagestan, man.
Umar's got potential to go the same way as Khabib did, I think. But there is a third name that you're not going to like. And this is the mentally undefeated Sugar Show, baby.
I already knew it, man.
The Sugar Show. I think this guy has a ceiling that just doesn't... It's just so high. He got unlucky against Chito Vera, which he lost that fight. He needs to say that he lost that fight. But I think Dominic Cruz even wants to fight this guy, Sugar Show.
I think that's interesting, Sean. Because I saw a bunch of people saying... I quote people saying that, like, basically as soon as he starts getting those, like, top contenders, they're gonna, like... he won't be doing that crazy, like, spinning shit and all on them. You know, I don't know whether to agree with them or not, because obviously, again, that fight with Chito is definitely a huge stain on his record, because people are always going to look back on it and say, like, oh, he always got caught and all. But obviously, his fight against Almeida, we'll talk about it more on Wednesday, definitely does show his true potential, that the pressure he had did not crumble. He delivered a nice, although he was trying to be a bit cocky there, twice fucking walking away and then giving a big fucking...
Yeah, but it shows like he could have finished that fight in the first round if he wasn't so focused on getting a a type of finish that would go viral. And by the way, he got a finish that went viral because that was violent.
Yeah.
Then if he wasn't so focused on that, he would have finished it in the first round. Which is just
true.
Disgusting. It's funny to
But
see
it is
that he
what
would have
it
got a
is.
first round finish, and against someone like Thomas Almeida with pedigree like that,
Facts.
he didn't just beat a nobody. This is not Jake Paul fighting Deji. This is Sean O'Malley fighting Thomas Almeida.
It was a nice fight. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday though. But is that your bantamweight list? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to reiterate. I just don't agree with that Cejudo at all. I think he needs to do more.
Yeah.
I think
I see it, man. I see it, man.
I think TJ's gonna come back. He's gonna fight Corey Sandhagen, and that's gonna be such a good
That's
fight.
what's gonna be very interesting to see. To be honest with you, maybe
Because Corey
we
is so good.
we will do in a year. Maybe at the end of the year, we will do a. Well, I will have to make a proper list, and we will talk about it again. But
Precisely.
this is just
Updated
kind of
goals
like
list.
visiting in, because obviously, you never know. Maybe someone's drug test is gonna pop or something, or they fucking come back
Cejudo.
and yeah, basically. What do you think about that? I don't know.
Cejudo pops.
But that's basically my bantamweight list. I think it's very nice to go ahead into the featherweight list, Sean. Who do you have?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I feel like I might have to explain because I think we're gonna differ here.
Go for
I
it.
think the
Give me your
best-
runner-up first. Give me your runner-up first.
Oh no! I'm gonna tell you. Number 2. Okay, I'll go 2, 3, and 1. Number 2, Jose Aldo. Number
Uh-huh.
3, Conor McGregor. And number 1, the best is blessed, Milan. Max Holloway.
Okay, I see you, man. I see you. I'm gonna be real.
That's my 3 in a row. I went top 3 because I was like, I have to say Conor McGregor. Because he is a phenomenal fighter. But for me, he can't be better than Aldo or Max Holloway just purely because, like, yeah, he went 7-0 in the featherweight division, but he never defended the belt, and that's why I can't give him like higher than Aldo or Max, because Max and
I see what you said, Sean.
Max
Now-
has been robbed twice, but
Listen, man. I didn't do a top 3, but I'll start from number 3 just for you because you mentioned the name. I'm gonna have to say Max for number 3. Number 2, I'm gonna have to say Aldo. And number 1, I'm gonna have to say Conor McGregor, man. I'm gonna say.
my
Listen,
God,
listen,
this
listen.
guy.
Listen, man.
Oh
Listen,
my God!
listen.
Oh my God!
Listen, man. I'm saying Conor McGregor, yeah, because we see Conor McGregor now doing fucking shit, yeah. But like, I'm gonna talk about it in boxing, yeah, when I refer to Mike Tyson, yeah.
Because McGregor's the best
But
boxer of all time.
karate stance motivated, fucking broke Conor McGregor was a fighter that nobody could have beaten at that time. That's all I'm gonna
He
have
never
to say.
defended though.
I don't care. The guy fucking beat Aldo in 13 seconds.
That could be lucky though. That's
No,
what
but
I'm thinking.
It was
Like,
not
because they
lucky at
could.
all. He saw how
'cause
he
he
was
could've-
pushing in, so he threw that devastating left hand. He
That's what I-
Not only that, yeah, he brought so much fucking views onto the sport, and then as well, yeah, he's just a beast. What can I say? Conor McGregor, yeah, he fucking mentally destroyed Aldo, and that Aldo that was undefeated for 9 years, I believe, mentally destroyed him, had some fun, and then he fucking took his title in 13 seconds. Now, obviously, you could say, oh, he didn't defend it. But that's because he was off going for the fucking second belt to become the first double champion in the fucking UFC, yeah? Now, that's what I'm saying. Aldo definitely number 2, yeah? Like, when you talk about featherweight goats, if Aldo isn't even in your top 3 list, you're a schmuck. Max Holloway is definitely a runner-up for me, as well as number 3.
Mom, I
because
can't right now. Sorry, brother.
As I was saying, yeah, Max is number 3. He is runner-up and 3 for me. Obviously, he did get beaten those stains, but I believe he was wrong. We watched the second fight together. I still remember the reaction we had against the second fight when he fought Volkanovski, but it was disgusting. Aldo number 2. I'm saying Conor McGregor #1. I don't care what you say. Stick down any fighter at featherweight against motivated, broke karate stance Conor McGregor at featherweight, and Conor is coming out victorious, man.
I think Connor missed. If he just had one more fight at featherweight and he rematched Aldo, like he said he was going to, by the way, he said he was going to rematch Aldo.
That's true.
And then Aldo went and beat someone whilst McGregor was champ, and they had the whole stare down. They had the big thing, and it was in Brazil, I think. I could be wrong saying that, but Aldo beat someone, and he stood up on the cage and pointed at McGregor, and McGregor was sitting there, like. I think they needed to go again because Aldo probably would have gone longer, probably realistically, probably just a little. Who knows? Aldo could have got finished again, for all I know. But the thing is, just the fact that he never defended the belt ever, and he just went, and then just for me, you need to defend the belt.
Well,
You have to be a champion, to be a GOAT in a weight class. You have to prove yourself, And I feel like McGregor, he took the long way to the belt, He went the interim, and he took fights that maybe he shouldn't have taken, like the Chad Mendes fight. But the fact that he said, yeah, I'll fight Aldo again, and then he never did, it puts a thing on his record that, potentially, Conor had an idea in his head that, well, I've gotten the best of Aldo once, and that was when I had him mentally defeated. This time, Aldo's going to come in, and he's going to be a lot more calm because he'll know from his mistakes. So it'd be a much more even technical bout, which he could have realistically lost, which I don't think McGregor wanted. That's how you could look at it. But also you could look at it that McGregor was thinking, oh, well, I've already beaten this guy. I don't need to fight him again. There's two ways of looking at it. And there's too much up for debate. That's why I just couldn't put McGregor at '1. I gotta put Aldo #2. And the reason the best is blessed is because he's been absolutely fucking shafted in two of his fights for the belt against Volk. The first one you could maybe argue Volk, but the second one I just don't understand that. I just can't score Volkanovski to win that fight. And Max Holloway, especially against Calvin Kattar, one of the best boxers in the division, just slipping punches, not getting touched. That fight should have been stopped in the 4th, maybe even the 3rd, because he was killing this kid. Max is just so good, and I think as soon as whoever he fights next, whether it be Brian Ortega, whether it be Alexander Volkanovski, he's going to put it on display and show everyone why he's the best.
Well, Sean, you said that you have to defend the thing. Obviously, he did win the championship, yeah. For me, in my logic, yeah, as well as yours, I'm guessing, if you really want to be considered as the true champion, winning the belt is not enough. You definitely have to defend it to show that you are a true champ. But to be the GOAT, I don't know, man. It's just the fact that I'm not taking into account as well his wins, his momentous wins, yeah. I'm taking into account that Conor McGregor at featherweight was he was unbeatable. I don't care what you say. Right now, Conor McGregor, he's ruining his legacy. Do you know what I mean? Welterweight, he definitely did have his ups and downs. Lightweight, he definitely did have his ups and downs. Never had any downs in featherweight. The guy was consistent at featherweight. The guy then also brought in numbers to the UFC like they've never seen before. It was absolutely disgusting, man. And that's why I have him at #1, man. That's why I have him at #1. Because Conor McGregor definitely has to be in one of the lists as the GOAT. Because as you said, Ronda Rousey, if she's not in the list for the women's, then if Conor McGregor isn't in the list for the men's, then I don't know, man. You're fucking delusional, I have to say.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be some. I'm gonna jump into this. I do have on my list two people at #4. And there's two people I want to talk about for featherweights. The first one is a man who I shit on a lot.
Yeah.
And that is Alexander Volkanovski.
Okay.
This guy, okay. Granted, he's gotten 2 dubs over Max. I think if he fights Max again, and he gets a convincing win, then he's ultimately just gonna push Max out of there, and he can maybe push in for that almost near that number one spot because he's undefeated, I believe, in the UFC at featherweight, in the UFC in general. He is just tearing up house. If he beats Brian Ortega, then Max Holloway, he's pretty much cleared out featherweight. Like, if he does that convincingly against Max now, not like he gets dropped 8 times, you know, loses 2 10-8 rounds, maybe and then loses a third round, then gets 2 takedowns in the last round and somehow wins. Like, not like that. If he convincingly beats Max on decision, because I don't see him knocking Max out realistically, then I can understand. I could see Alexander Volkanovski becoming the GOAT very quickly if he beats Ortega and they rebook the Max Holloway fight. If they do that, that's just clear. I think we can both agree on that Volkanovski's on his way if he does the right things.
Facts.
But there's one guy, if he comes to he has to leave his current promotion and come to the UFC.
Okay.
To fight the number one guys.
Go for it.
And that is my boy Pitbull.
You were talking about this guy yesterday.
The singer Pitbull.
Oh.
Mr. Worldwide. No, I'm joking. Obviously the fighter. Mr. Worldwide. We want to see him. I think because he's beat people like Chandler and stuff, and he's gone up between lightweight and featherweight. So he's definitely someone to... It's because he's in Bellator, you know, that he's fought like some dodgy people. He's got a padded record, some would say. Like, because they do that in Bellator. They just want to sell shows. Like Michael Venom Page. Remember when he was the champ? And he fought in Ireland. And who was it? I don't even know his name.
I don't think he was the champ when he fought in Ireland, Sean. I'm going to be real here.
I'm not quite sure. I thought he was the champ, but he fought some guy in Ireland.
Yeah.
He fought some guy in Ireland who was... Well, I don't want to say an easy fight, but...
Richard Kiley Keeley. Where the fuck
what was his record before that fight, Milan?
Sean, before his fight with him, he was actually 3-1 with 2 losses in the amateur. He was defeated, 100% defeated record in amateurs. Then he was 3-1 in pros.
Is there any more I need to say about that caliber of opponent?
Michael Venom Page is back to fighting. I guess you could say kind of padded people because his last fight was against someone who was 8-0, but with a one draw, and then he fought 2 more people after Richard. Now I don't want to call these guys padded, but one was 13-5 or 4. The other was 11-3.
They're not padded to be safe, like
30,
but they're
30-ish. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say padded because I'm not really familiar with these guys. They could be definitely good. I'm not really too.
Probably not people. They don't sound like people at his level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fact.
And the same thing happens with Pitbull. If he comes to the UFC and starts fighting at featherweight, then he's gonna have some people to fight. You know what I mean? Imagine him versus Volk. They're both similar heights. That'd be a fun fight.
Factual information right there, man.
But I think the featherweights we're pretty much done with. We both have very different lists. Well, we both have Aldo at number 2, and then you put Bless number 3, and you put Conor number 1, and I've done the opposite.
Yeah. So let's get into the lightweights then.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
No, do you know what? Yeah, I'll go first. So the lightweights, I kind of had to speed run this because I don't know, it was kind of difficult for me to talk, but the second I said was BJ Penn. I'll put him at number 2.
So did I.
And then at number 1, I think me and you could both agree that Khabib Nurmagomedov is the men's lightweight GOAT.
No, sir.
Oh no, Sean.
Eddie Alvarez.
Okay, fuck off, man.
I'm joking. Khabib,
the underground king, Eddie
I don't think we need to talk about Khabib being number 1 too much.
I don't think we
I
need.
think that's kind of
It's all kind of like there, to be honest with you. BJ Penn is a legend in the light. Although his career has declined and he's been getting
his
knocked
record's
out.
shit.
He's been getting knocked out by fucking bouncers in Hawaii. The fact that fucking he was still a badass, you know, he was still a legend back in the day.
You know, I don't think he ever did pop, but it is quite disappointing to see how like downward he went when USADA came in. His body never
100%.
changed, but his work rates, his record, he started getting fucked up, and then, you know, he's not been the same,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But what he did, he was the first ever person, I believe, to try and become a simultaneous champion by going from lightweight to welterweight fighting GSP. I believe he was the first. I could be wrong saying that, but he was such a great lightweight. He was a lightweight champ.
Oh Lord have mercy.
BJ Penn, number 2.
I just looked at BJ Penn's record. Oh dear.
I don't even think we should read it out. Maybe just throw it on the screen and we'll just
7,
put
8, 9, 10. Okay, so out of his 11 last fights, Sean. Wait, let me just timestamp this real quick. Out of his, how much did I say? 10, right?
last
Out of his
10
1,
fights.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 last fights, he has only had 1 win and 1 draw. That's 9 losses. He has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses in a row. His last win was in 2010.
Where was his last fight? Was that in the UFC or did he fight elsewhere?
UFC, man, of course.
Jesus Christ. I've got a guy in number 3.
Go for it.
RDA.
Really?
I've got RDA in number 3.
Okay.
This guy, when he was the lightweight champ, was just crazy. And then he moved to welterweight and he kind of tarnished his career. And now he's back at lightweight and he fought the greatest fighter of all time, Paul Felder. And he wants Islam Makhachev. I think he got lazy, to be honest, with that move to welterweight. That move to welterweight for me, just showed someone who didn't want to cut weight almost anymore. And he fought the best of the best at welterweight, and most of the time he didn't come away victorious. Is all we can really say about RDA in that situation. He fought Usman, he fought Edwards, he fought Colby Covington, you know, and he just didn't come away with the W's. But at lightweight, he's always been a great contender. And that's just what I could see him as a third option. Currently, at lightweight, I don't really see any emerging person as he could be the GOAT, you know what I mean? Like a Dustin Poirier, I don't think he would be the GOAT, to be honest. I wouldn't see Michael Chandler there either. I wouldn't see Charles Oliveira there. And then you've also got to talk about Justin Gaethje, which I just don't like him, to be honest. He's annoying. I don't think I could see him getting a GOAT status. Conor McGregor.
I don't think, unless you somehow go Floyd Mayweather mode, 50-0 in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're not. I don't think there will ever be a lightweight GOAT for as long as I live. Except for Khabib,
I think
to be honest with
soon, you know, there's time. Islam Makhachev could come through.
Maybe, but he'll never be
RDA
as
could,
better as
or
Khabib
RDA,
because
you know.
I don't think they'll ever be as big as Khabib. Because
RDA could have further established himself.
But Khabib has that extra undefeated record. He has fought in the biggest fight in the UFC. He never crumbled under the pressure. He was always consistent. I don't think anyone will ever be lightweight GOAT other than Khabib, to be honest with you. That is Khabib's. That was Khabib's division.
I can see that. It's interesting, to be honest. We'll just have to see as the time goes on, because
For sure.
we never know. We never know. Someone can just emerge out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Someone could be the top dog, but there's no definitive top dog for me at the moment in this division. Like, Dustin Poirier, I think, could lose to Chandler, Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Conor McGregor. And then I also think that Charles could lose to any of those two. Same with Chandler, same with Justin, same with McGregor. I think they could all beat each other on any given day.
Yeah.
There's no number one guy in that division for me. Which is why I'm excited to see it play out, to be honest. Because they're all like there, but they're not quite there as like number one. You know what I mean?
I get you, man. I get you. But
It's a weird one. It's a weird one indeed.
let's get into the welterweights now. Do you have? You go first now, my man. You go first now. Who do you
I
have?
got
in your welterweights?
number one GSP.
Yep.
Number two, I've gone with Matt Hughes.
Nope.
I'm gonna. That's all I'm gonna say. My number one and two, and then we'll talk number threes later.
So, number one, obviously GSP. Number two, I've said Usman. I've said, obviously, as I said before, there is always going to be that stain of losing to the Fresh Prince of Kendall. But obviously, Joe Casares is one of the GOATs, so that's not really something to be disappointed about. But Usman, he cleared out the whole division right now. Like, obviously, there's always people that say, yeah, back in the day, the NBA were playing janitors. Back in the day, footballers didn't even play proper football. Back in the day, yeah? Okay, so maybe you could say shit like, oh, back in the day, the people in the UFC weren't as good, you know? They didn't have the techniques. They couldn't recover. They didn't have the special technology. I'm not making that argument, but some people definitely could. And some people always say that the people right now could always beat the people back then. But if so, Usman is definitely has to be on that list. Usman, for me, has cleared out the whole division. Usman has been defending that belt like it was nothing. Obviously, he isn't very well liked in the UFC, but it doesn't matter because when you're the champ, you do whatever the fuck you want. Basically, he's in a kind of a Khabib situation where he's like, that's his whole division. The welterweight division is the Kamaru Usman division. And I think once he beats a couple more people at the top, when he like rematches them and beats them, maybe, I don't know, because the thing is GSP only lost twice, and he avenged those losses. Usman obviously has lost to Jose Caceres.
I don't see him avenging that fight. I think he's too scared for that fight. The Fresh Prince of Kendall is
Fresh Prince of Kendall might not happen, but he hasn't lost in the UFC. I think that's a very important point to have because, as I said, Khabib will always have that undefeated status. If Usman keeps it and he keeps defending that title, he might get to the level where GSP was and he will reach GOAT status. That's my two, Sean. Who is your number three, did you say?
Well, I've got two people in number three.
Okay.
And they're both so I've got Usman. I've got a man who I'm gonna have to explain because I think you're gonna make a noise at me when I say this man's name. So I've got Usman, Marty Fake Newsman Usman, and Funky Ben Askren.
Okay.
This man went 19-0 in MMA, but he was 18-0 before coming to the UFC. And when he came to the UFC, a lot could argue he was past his best. Now, if he was to be in the UFC when he was at his best, like he was like there trying to get on there for years, then maybe we could have seen Ben Askren UFC champion. Ben Askren with a good hip, beating up people. But instead, what we got to see was Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler with a controversial victory. And then we saw Ben Askren fight Jorge Masvidal. The less to be said, the better. And then we had Damian Maia. But like these fights, I feel like he wasn't really at his best, you know. And I feel like prime Ben Askren, well, we'll never know. He was amazing. He won belts in one Bellator. I think some other company as well. but he won belts in ONE and Bellator, which are one championship. He wasn't fight when he was fighting at 170. He wasn't fighting. He was fighting natural 170s. You know what I mean? Like he was naturally 170 then, whereas in UFC he was fighting Robbie Lawler, who was cutting from like 200 pounds easily. So, it's an interesting one for Ben. I can see why why people disagree with that, but Ben Askren's got to be in the debate of, or in talks. He's got to be mentioned for me as being one of the best.
Yeah.
What do you think about Ben Askren there?
That's a very... I was not expecting you saying Ben Askren, to be honest with you, but obviously him going from winning the championship there and defending it, to Bellator, winning the championship there, defending it, you know what I mean? It's just like... I guess I could see where you're coming from, but I don't know.
He just never did it. He just never did it in the UFC, which is why
you could definitely say that was when he was too late. You know what I mean? Because not like he did beat Robbie Lawler. Fair play to him. He did beat Robbie Lawler, but that fucking Jorge Masvidal knee, obviously, as he said, it happens. But then that Damian Maia. But obviously, you could say how he was kind of out of his prime. His hip was fucked up. He needed to get a hip fucking something. I forgot what the surgery is.
hip replacement.
Hip replacement, yeah. So he was kind of he was basically declining then. But still, though, I guess that's such a weird person to add in. But to be honest, I wouldn't disagree with him. As like a number 4, as a runner-up, I definitely wouldn't disagree with that. I think that's a decent show.
I see him. He should be in the rank for it, but I had to include him in it. But we're gonna move on to the middleweights now, which is very, very fun.
Very fun.
I'm gonna just go. I've got so many names in this because I couldn't talk about it. Okay, you should have to hear me out. Every name I have in this have a question mark behind it. Number 1, there's 2 names. Anderson Silva and Israel. Number 2, Israel, Weidman, Rockhold, and Bisping. My fucking problem is Anderson and fucking Adesanya probably are on steroids. Anderson Silva is the obvious one, but how is Israel had gyno and suddenly he just went away? You know what I mean? From smoking weed. Like what?
That's true. That's very weird.
I think Luke Rockhold is definitely up in the discussion. Chris Weidman, I'm gonna check out his Sherdog right now. I don't know enough about him, I'll be honest. But I know he knocked out Anderson Silva in a devastating fashion. But I also know that he's gone on a terrible run. So I don't know if he would be in that contention. But I just had to put his name down. So we could talk about it maybe. Milan, who do you have?
Well, Sean, I have 2 names here. My first name, Sean. I think you have to... You know who I'm going to say. You already know who I'm going to say, Sean. The American gangster. The people's champ. The voice. The biggest arms in West Lynn, Oregon.
Bruce Buffer.
Uncle Chael Sonnen. I don't think... Listen, this guy... I'll talk about him in a second, yeah? Because obviously the men's middleweight division is the juicy juice boy division, okay? As Tito Ortiz would say. Every single person who's ever competed in this whole division has definitely used some illegal substances, so I don't really care. Yeah?
Yes,
Anderson
sir.
Silva is in this. Chael Sonnen, yeah? Not only did he bring so much attention to the sport, he was beating big names as well. That's the thing. He could have won against John Jones. John Jones broke his toe in that first round. And if Chael Sonnen lasted 10 more seconds, when I believe he was getting ground and pounded, right? Or if he got choked out. Can you just check that?
How he lost to Anderson, he got
No, not Anderson. I'm talking about John Jones. Oh shit, never mind. That was in light heavyweight. Okay, listen. Middleweight, yeah. obviously he came so close to beating Anderson Silva. He came so close. But the thing is, man, Chael Sonnen is just one of the greatest to ever do it, man. That's all I have to say. The guy brought so much attention to the UFC. The guy had call-outs that were just so devastating. Yeah. The guy was fun to watch at the media tours. And the guy could fight as well. The guy could fight. And one of the things that I have to say, Chael Sonnen has never lost a single round in MMA. He is undefeated in his career. He has never lost a single round, Sean. And that's big news. Not even Khabib has done that. So Chael Sonnen has to be on this list.
Even the rounds he got finished in.
Yeah, well, you don't count those rounds, Sean. I don't think you understand. You don't count the rounds if you get finished in them, because obviously that's when the point you lost the fight in. So every single round he has never lost. Next, Anderson Silva. Now this guy, for me, is like comparing. For me, when I see people that like make the sport so special, I always like to compare them to Ronaldinho, the footballer, because he is one of my favorite footballers. We might have to do a football goats, Sean. I'm not gonna lie, because I actually like football as well. So listen.
Okay.
Ronaldinho made the sport special to watch. Like, even as a kid, yeah, I'd remember I'd love to try and do shit like he was, you know what I mean, in games. And for me, Anderson Silva is basically the Ronaldinho of MMA, because he was doing shit that was just disgusting. The crane kick KOs, yeah? Fucking dodging punches with his hands by his side, and the one punch knockout power that he had. Like, all he had to do was jab and you'd be on the floor. Like, it was ridiculous. Now, obviously, these two guys are the biggest juicy juice boys in the sport, but I don't care. I'm making an exception for the men's middleweight division. These guys deserve to be the GOATs of that division. What about you, Sean?
You could talk about Chris Weidman on that too, then, because 2013 July, Chris Weidman, undefeated, fights Anderson Silva, knocks him out in the second round, 1 minute, 18 seconds. He then fights Anderson Silva in December of that year, 3 days after Christmas, on the 28th, and he knocks him out 2 seconds faster with a leg injury. He did the double over Anderson Silva, beats Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort, and then that's when it just starts going downhill, when he loses to Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero with that devastating flying knee. And then he loses again. He beats Kelvin Gastelum, which is kind of funny. Then he beats sorry, is that how you say it? Ronaldo Souza? Okay. And he loses to Dominic Reyes, and then he just won a fight there in August of 2020 to Omari. I don't know how to say his name, but I think Weidman's in the conversation when he's at his peak,
Yeah,
and then you gotta include Rockhold, I think, as well, because Luke Rockhold was an absolute tank when he was at 185. I think he's staying. I think he's still at 185. I think he's returning at 185. But
if you want to put them in your runners up, I'd have no problem with that. But I think the one and
I actually don't think
so. Are definitely the people that I have just mentioned. Anderson Silva will forever be the GOAT of the middleweight division. I don't care what you say, even though he did pop. I'm making a special exception for the juicy juice head division. Silva and Chael, they're forever gonna be there. I don't care what you say, man.
What about Vitor Belfort then?
The man with the greatest traps in the game. Nah, I'm still sticking with Silva and Chael.
18 KOs.
Still sticking with Silva and Chael, man.
Oi, oi, oi.
Everyone else is a bum, to be quite honest.
Oh, actually, let me look this guy up real quick so I don't sound stupid if I'm wrong. Let me just see if he's...
What are you gonna say, man? What are you about to say?
There's a guy... I might have the wrong weight class.
fucking
I'm
pussy.
talking. I'm talking about the axe murderer right now.
The
Well, it
axe
says
murderer?
one. It
Not
says
the axe
180.
murderer.
It says 185 on his profile, but I believe he fought at 205 most of his career. He fought a heavyweight at one point. What the fuck? What the
Are you
fuck?
talking about Vanderlei Silva, Sean?
I am indeed, sir.
I think he was
The
more of a light
juiciest
heavyweight
juicer
figure, to
of
be
all
quite honest
time.
with you. I think he was more of a men's light heavyweight fighter. That's what he was more known
5'10",
for, Sean.
5'10". It says in his thing middleweight for some reason, but this man with 27 KOs. Oh. You just can't teach that. You inject that shit only.
You know it, man. You know it. But is that your whole middleweight list, Sean? Yeah.
My middleweight list is done. I don't have a lot to say about the middleweight division because I feel like Izzy, if he can beat like Darren Till and then maybe fight like, what's his name, Whitaker again, like, he'll be in contention. You know what I mean? Like, Robert Whitaker is probably the cleanest man in that division. He's the only clean fighter in that division. Him, Darren Till, Marvin Vittori, Kelvin Gastelum, because he's a fat fuck.
Yeah, but
He's
Sean, there's a
obviously just
reason why they're
natural.
not at the top anymore. Because they're clean.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Unlike Stylebender,
That's what I'm saying. The juicy juice.
potentially.
Juicy juice boy. Can fucking division. But listen, let's get into the like heavyweights.
Before we do
Shut
that,
up.
I will tell you something. I get all my information about steroid use from one person. And that is Derek from moreplatesmoredates.com. Nobody
Shout out to
else.
Derek from moreplatesmoredates.com, man.
Honestly, this guy is... Derek Moreplates is the juiciest guy I've ever seen in my life. And if anyone's gonna know about who's juicing, it's gonna be him.
Facts.
It's gonna be him.
Listen.
Him and Coach Greg Douchet.
Oh,
Light
yeah.
heavyweights,
Listen. Tell
Coach
me.
Greg.
You start off with your light heavyweights.
You're
please.
you're big mad. You're big mad for no reason. Number
Go.
one, it's uncontentionable. Even though he's the juiciest juicer to ever exist, John Jones. I hate him. But you can't not put him as number one because, like, say there's one other guy. There's a few others I've got. Number two, I don't know, because I have DC down, but like DC that it did not really do very much because he got knocked out by a steroid John Jones, so he's clearly not that good. But I've got Dan Henderson, and I've got the only man on the list to feature in 2 weight classes for me, Randy Couture, because Randy Couture had a good run at light heavyweight.
Randy Couture was a fucking beast, man. I have a few names for this whole division, actually. I'm not gonna lie with you. I have a good few names.
All right, hit me with them. I have
Hey, Sean.
4.
Listen, brother. So in this isn't gonna be in any order, yeah. Actually, no, nah, it's not. So I'm gonna put in, as you said, Randy Couture. He definitely has to be in there. Being the oldest UFC champ, yeah.
That was at heavyweight though,
Yeah.
but
But-
he his light heavyweight was earlier in his career.
Yeah.
But
still,
I
he was
think
a beast.
I
He
looked
was a
back on
beast.
it. You know what? I've actually got some things to read out about Randy Couture, but we'll do that at heavyweight. I'll read them out.
Okay. I'm gonna have to mention. I'm gonna have to say it again, man. The American gangster, the people's
You
champ.
can't
the voice
say the American
himself,
gang. You're
Sean,
taking the piss,
the
Mina.
biggest
Surely
arms in
not.
West Lynn, Oregon. The undefeated Uncle
He's
Chael
not
Sonnen.
undefeated in any shape or form.
If he isn't in this list, yeah, I don't know what I'd do with my life, to be honest with you. The guy who came so close. This guy is the champ at nearly beating the GOATs. Because if this guy... Here, could you pull up for me how he lost to John Jones, please? Because...
TKO.
If he was a ground and pound in the first round, and as I was saying, John Jones broke his toe in the first round. If Chael Sonnen could have lasted like 10 more seconds in the round, he would have become champ, because John Jones realized when he was in the corner that he fucking snapped his toe basically in half. Chael Sonnen would have became the champ, and that is the closest anybody has gone. So I'm gonna have to put in Chael Sonnen in there. Sean. I'm not putting John Jones in this list, man, because as I said, I'm only making exceptions for the Juicy Juice boys. Obviously, I put in Chael Sonnen, but like
I hate
he's
John
transferring
Jones.
from the middleweight division.
This guy, John Jones, should realistically have 2 L's in his record, because, well, firstly, he took the fattest L ever by being an idiot and breaking the 12-6 elbow rule, and losing to Matt Hamill. Then he that no contest with DC, like, bruh.
Yes, sir.
Bruh. And what annoys me about that is he came back like under a year later after popping. Do you know what I mean?
It's the GOAT, man.
Like,
GOAT shit only.
let's have a look at John Jones as well. He's got 10 TKOs, 6 submissions. So he's got 16 finishes in 26 fights. For a GOAT is good, but for John Jones, who goes on about being this fucking tank, like the greatest ever, like you'd expect a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? Like you'd expect him to be outclassing everyone. And like, I think he did at one point outclass people, but like of recent, like the Dominic Reyes fight especially did not outclass him. Thiago Santos, he didn't outclass him. And the Anthony Smith, he did indeed. And Alexander Gustafsson, which I think he was on fucking drugs for, by the way. I don't know about you. I think he was on some hardcore drugs for that fight, probably. When he fought.
Some dodgy stuff, man.
Because he came into that fight and just whitewashed Alexander Gustafsson. Which I just was very surprised to see, but and then before that he popped against DC. So John Jones is an interesting one. Will he become the heavyweight GOAT? Milan has one answer for you guys.
No.
And that is no. No, just straight up no.
I'm gonna have to beep that out actually, because you just fucking said my name, dumbass.
What do you mean? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying your name?
No doxing, bro.
You're not gonna get doxed. Leave that in.
No, because I already took it out in the last podcast.
You can say my name right now. You can even not my address though. You can say my name though.
I'm gonna bleep it either way.
Sean.
Fucking suck a dick, man. Okay.
I don't.
Listen.
But okay, that's light heavyweights pretty much.
I haven't even mentioned my top.
Oh, you got more?
Yeah.
Oh, you got more.
I haven't
Go
mentioned
on.
my top 2, man. You just cut ahead
Go
of
on.
me, man. Sean. I don't.
Go on.
Sean, I don't think I can mention yet where the UFC would be without these 2 guys. These guys.
If you mention.
What?
If you say who I think you're gonna say, man.
Sean, I have to say these 2 guys because they put the UFC on the map when it needed it the most. They have been beefing their whole careers.
Oh my god.
Sean, they have put the UFC on the map, and that's the reason they've fucking fought the best. They've been the best. I'm gonna have to just say Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz from me.
Fuck off.
I have to say it, man. They are the GOATs of the light heavyweight division. That's all I have to say, man. It's
They were
very
the most
self-explanatory,
entertaining
actually.
too. I thought Tito versus Chuck was even more entertaining. Those two were just hilarious. going back and forth. Was it Vanderlei, or was it Tito when Chuck was like, I can't let you get on the inside or
It was
something.
Chael Sonnen, Sean.
No, who was he saying it to though? Tito or was
Vanderlei
it?
Silva.
What did he say again?
They're they're in tough, and what's it called? They started like wrestling, and then Chael was like, "I can't let you get close." Oh wait, I'll send it to you actually now in a second. Wait, I'll send
No,
it
it's
to you.
cool. I seen it. I seen it. I
Cool,
seen
cool,
it.
cool,
but-
cool, 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 cool,
Um,
cool, 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 cool.
If you're gonna start talking about the juicy juicers of MMA, then just
Uh-huh.
might as well throw Vanderlei Silva in there, like who was 27 KOs,
No, I'm not
an
gonna mention
absolute
him.
beast.
No juicers,
maybe-
sorry, no juicers allowed.
Oh, sorry, yeah, but Uncle Chael can come in then. What?
Yeah, because he's transferring from the middleweight, so it makes sense. Sean, I don't want
Brother.
to talk smack about the guy with the biggest arms in Westland, Oregon, but I do have some shit to talk. Sean, I'm gonna make this as formal as possible, guys. You're hearing it here first. Chael Sonnen, I'm calling you out on Wednesday's podcast. I'm calling you out. I'm not calling you out today. I'm just making sure you're ready. Because I'm calling you out in the next podcast, bro. That's all I have to say.
You heard it here first, guys. Milan is gonna call out Chael Sonnen, and we'll see what Chael Sonnen says. Probably nothing. He's probably gonna start ducking Milan, but
Like always, man. Like always.
we'll
But-
see. We'll see. We'll see.
Aye,
Do
listen.
you have much more? What more do you have to say about the light heavyweights? Because
Nothing.
I don't
That's
know,
it.
I just-
That is
Dan
the
Henderson and DC maybe at number 2, Randy Couture, like
the light
some
heavyweight
great
division for me,
fighters.
yeah,
But
is a division filled with golden oldies, bro. Because it peaked back in the day. Because right now, I'm not gonna lie, if John Jones didn't dip and Izzy beat Jan, it would have been interesting. But it didn't go that way. So I'm just gonna have to say it. Back in the day, used to be better. And that's my list right there, man. That's my list.
yeah, fair enough. I'm kind of similar. Like, I don't know. I've got John Jones number 1, but like it's weird because of the drugs and everything. And then I don't know, like Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, DC. I got those guys around number 2, but I'm not really sure where I would place. Probably put DC over Dan Henderson because I think he beat him. But Randy Couture, DC, will say number 2. Well, I would say. But Randy Couture, let's jump into the heavyweights. Number
Let's go.
1 heavyweight of all time. I've got Stipe or Randy Couture, and I'm not sure which one I'd go with, to be fair.
Sean, you dirty fucking knacker.
No, I know what you're going to say. You're going to start saying Fedor.
Sean.
Exactly.
I'm actually quite
Exactly.
disgusted by how
And
you
there's
don't
another
fucking mention Fedor in your fucking list, man.
Fedor's number
There's-
2 for me. Fedor's number 2.
Who'd you put on number 1?
Stipe or Couture.
You dirty fucking bitch.
Which would push Fedor down to number 3.
You're,
But
you
there's another man on my list who I'm actually quite upset about. I found this out today. Royce Gracie. Do you want to know something, Milan?
shut the fuck up, man.
Royce Gracie popped for steroids.
Sean, Royce Gracie was mentioned. Sean, I mentioned 3 fighters in my MMA project about Khabib in my Russian oral. Sean, and it's actually quite funny because all of them have been mentioned in today's podcast. I mentioned Royce Gracie, Chuck Liddell, and Conor McGregor. So that's a nice little Easter egg there. But yeah, man, you're just delusional, to be quite honest with you.
Royce Gracie was on steroids, which is so upsetting, honestly. Like, he popped at the end of his career, and then everyone kind of just swept it under the rug because it's like, I don't want to ruin my childhood. There is some names I want to mention, just for the absolute fun of it, who I would not consider GOATs, but were just classic heavyweights. Let's talk about Fabricio Verdum, Brock Lesnar, Uberim, who we might get to see again. The juiciest juicers since juice was invented. And obviously, we'll never get to see them again in the UFC. But
Oh,
Milan just left the call, guys. What a cool guy. He's back.
the
But
juice
yeah,
just got to me,
Uberim.
man. The
Hopefully we
juice just
see him
got to me.
again. Hopefully.
Listen, what were you saying?
I was saying about Uberim
Yeah.
being a juicy juicer. What's your top two, Milan?
Sean, first of all, I don't think you can mention juicy juicers without mentioning my man Bob Sapp. Bob Sapp. You know who Bob Sapp is, yes?
Of course.
The man who weighed 160 kilos and had abs. Like, what else can you say, man? This guy's a fucking beast. So, if we're talking about juicy juice boys, Bob Sapp is in this fucking list, yeah? I'd have to mention some names who I think were classics as well, Sean. Did Bobby Lashley fight in the heavyweights, yeah?
Shut
Yeah?
up, man.
Okay,
We're not
Bobby
talking about...
Lashley. I'd have to mention
Okay,
Batista
what about...
as well. Batista is the biggest pussy of all time. I'm not even
Man,
mentioning his name.
undefeated,
do you know what?
undisputed Bellator king.
I'm bleeping his name, actually. I don't want him ever
No,
mentioned.
no, don't bleep his name.
I actually don't want him ever mentioned in this podcast again. I'm bleeping
Why?
his name every
Why?
time you say. Every time you say his name, he's
Man.
gonna bleep. I'm bleeping that as well. I'm bleeping that as well. I'm bleeping that as well.
You can't be bleep. Why would you do that? You're gonna let me say Dave Bautista.
Yeah, Batista, Bobby Lashley, Bam Bam Bigelow as well had a nice little run going. I forgot to
Mark
mention
Hunt.
actually Alberto Del Rio had a nice little run, but linking Alberto Del Rio, he lost to one of the GOATs that I have to mention for the heavyweight division, Sean. One of the guys who I actually look up to. The man who had a fucking... The left kick was a... Oh man, that left high kick. Mirko Cro Cop, Sean. Has to be on that list. I don't care what you say. Mirko
Okay.
Cro Cop. That left leg of his was a cemetery. As soon as you got hit by it, it's over, man. It's over.
But
The
he's
guy-
also the same guy who got knocked out by Brendan Schaub.
That's because
He
Brendan
lost to Brendan
Schaub is
Schaub.
the GOAT.
He lost to him.
Brendan Schaub is the funniest fighter of all time. That's all I have to say.
You're gonna say that when Joe Rogan used to do Taekwondo.
Joe Rogan. Do you know what, Joe? I know you're listening, Joe. When are we having this collab, man? When are we having the collab?
Someday, maybe. Hopefully, that'd be cool. But
Shout out to
okay,
Joe.
I want. Where do you play Stipe in all this?
So I said, now obviously, Sean, we'll talk about it on Wednesday, but that loss really did fuck him up. I'm not gonna lie. One of the runners up, before I already said, Fedor has to be on this list. I don't care what you say. Fedor has to be on the list.
Fedor is number 2 for me.
Fedor's number 1 for me. He is
No,
the heavyweight GOAT for me.
he never did it in the UFC, which is why I just think
I don't care. The man fucking...
because he must have been on something then, if he was fighting everywhere. He must have been. If he's out there
Sean.
fighting all these guys
Oh,
in
shit,
Pride,
my bad,
he was
my
on
bad.
something.
Bleep
He was
that.
in Pride. He was in Pride. He was in Bellator.
Sean,
He got
are you
knocked out by
accusing
Ryan
a Russian
Bader.
fighter of being on steroids? Oh
Yes.
my god. Are you
do you
accusing a
mean?
Russian Soviet fighter that had very close ties to the Russian government of being on steroids? That is
Yes.
crazy. That is so surprising. Okay. I can't believe you just said that, to be quite honest with you.
Khabib was on roids, man.
Listen, Sean, I'm gonna have to say it, man. I'm gonna have to say it. Okay? Actually, wait, I'll save it for a second, but basically, Fedor did it all. Do you know what I mean? Fedor did it all. He put MMA on the map as well. That's the thing. He put MMA.
Nah, Brock
Excuse me,
Lesnar
onto
put
the map.
MMA on the map.
Sean, I'm gonna say it one more time. The man, the myth, the legend. Who else but the American gangster, the
Fuck
people's
off.
champ,
Fuck off. Walk
The
away. Now walk
undefeated-
away. You don't have to say it.
the
You don't have to
undefeated,
say
the
this.
biggest arms in West Lynn, Oregon.
Stop, man. You better be
Uncle
time stamping
Chael
every time
Sonnen.
you say that. I'm putting him up.
Uncle Chael Sonnen.
He better be
Yeah.
getting up on the screen every time you say his name.
I'm saying it. Uncle Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen. Yeah, is one of the goats of the heavyweight division. That's all I'm gonna say. It's self-explanatory, but I have Fedor as my number one,
Jeez.
and then pretty much the people that I said, like pretty fucking obvious. Mirko Cro Cop, Stipe have to be on it. All those.
You're not
people.
gonna put. I put Stipe number one. At the Stipe,
Nah,
I
that-
would maybe say Randy Couture because
Randy Couture
although he's
definitely
got-
is on the list as well.
although he's got blemishes on his record, you know, Randy Couture did indeed. He did it. He beat what's it called? He beat an anabolic steroid, Josh Barnett, 6'8". Just went in there, and you D'd him, unanimous decision them, which is so impressive. Like, this guy did it in 2 weight classes. The first ever person to win a belt in 2 weight classes. Now, he didn't hold the heavyweight when he went to light heavyweight, but he's the first person to ever fight in heavyweight, win the belt, then win the belt at a different time frame in a different division. But Randy Couture, for me, he just kind of led the movement that was MMA, and he was putting the whole idea of being a fighter rather than being a martial artist. Now I have some things here about Randy Couture. He made his professional debut at UFC 13, and he fought Tony Halme, I believe is how you say him, and he was outweighed by 100 pounds, which is 45 kg. He also fought Vitor Belfort when he was 19, which was the most juicy kid in the game, and he beat him. I already said the Joshua Barnett thing. In 2002, he fought Rico Rodriguez for the heavyweight vacant belt after Josh Barnett. Actually, Josh Barnett beat him, sorry. I got that completely wrong. Barnett tested positive for anabolic steroids and beat Couture, but then Couture came back, fought Rico Rodriguez for the vacant heavyweight championship, beat him at 39 years of age. He, I believe, what's this now? Yeah, he beat Tito Ortiz as well for the light heavyweight championship at 40. Came back at 43, I believe. And he beat, I'm not quite sure who he beat, but he came back at 43, won the belt, lost to Brock Lesnar. Just a goat, man. Randy Couture.
I'd have to put Fedor though, that's the thing. But this
Why do you think Fedor?
it's just very self-explanatory. Fedor would.
Why Fedor over this guy?
Sean, do I have to say it again, man? Fedor Emelianenko fucking put MMA on the map. When you think of heavyweights, the last Emperor Fedor comes up to mind, man. He beat so many fighters. Even now, like, although you can say he has slowed down a little bit in his older years, but even now, he's beating people like Frank Mir, Chael Sonnen, Quinton Jackson. He's still very alive and well and kicking. And back in his prime, up in the 2000s, he was something else, man. Beating people like Mirko Cro Cop, yeah? Mark Coleman, Mark Hunt. Like, it's actually a bit disgusting, to be quite honest with you, for you not.
He has a nice record, to be fair to him.
He has a very nice record. Even if he is a bit washed towards the end, he did lose a good few times. He's still 39-6.
His most losses in a row was 3.
Yeah.
And he took 3 L's to Fabricio Verdum, Antonio Silva, Dan Henderson. Then he went on a wins. He lost to Matt Mitrone in Bellator. He won 2 fights, beat Frank Mir and Chael Sonnen in the first round, by the way. and then he lost to Ryan Bader, and he beat Quentin Jackson then. So, I can see the argument for this guy, for Fedor. You know, but I feel like I would have to put Couture or Stipe above him. Actually, no, I'll do this. I'll say this for you right now. But see, my only problem is that Fedor fought these UFC guys when they were not in the UFC, if that makes sense. He lost to Dan Henderson in 2011. That's prime Dan Henderson he lost to. He beat Andrei Arlovsky in 2009, to be fair. So, like, I mean, he beat Mark Hunt. I'm seeing names he's beaten that are, like, high-level guys. But it's weird, because, like, Mark Coleman in 2004 would have been near out of his prime by then. Like, he wouldn't have been prime, you know? So I can see your argument for this guy, but... You know, I would say to you, Fedor Emelianenko, top 3, 100%. I'd agree with that. But I don't know with him, because he was offered to go to the UFC so much, and he just kept saying no.
Well, again, maybe he was juicing and didn't want to get caught, but...
Exactly. Even in his prime, he was like, they said to him to come to the UFC.
Everyone back in the day was juicing. Let's be real. Everyone back in the day was juicing.
Exactly, everyone was
I don't
juicing.
care what you say. Everyone was juicy juice, boys.
But the thing is, Randy Couture was never popped. That's what separates.
Neither was fucking Fedor Emelianenko and fucking Mirko Cro Cop.
Exactly, these two guys.
They were just juicy, man.
Randy Couture, Fedor Emelianenko, they weren't the best. They were the best at hiding their steroid use. But there's another guy who I want to talk about right now, and this guy's got a potential to reach the heavyweight status. He's the heavyweight champion in the UFC.
I was gonna say the runner-up. I was gonna mention the runner-up. Go on. Say
Francis
his name.
the Predator, the pedophile Ngannou.
This man. Fucking.
He's got composed Ngannou. Looks like he can beat anyone. If he beats John Jones, then he fights like
if
you
when?
You can never count out Juicy John Jones.
Wait, I'm okay. I won't wait. Never mind. I just counted him out. Sean. Francis Ngannou is knocking him out. I don't care.
John Jones.
When you nearly get fucking Sean. Okay, listen. MMA math, yeah. But listen, people can't mention MMA math without me. Listen, we did our research on it, man. We did a whole ass project on it, so I can mention it if I want, yeah? You can't nearly lose to fucking... what's his name? Fuck, how do I forget his name already? How do you nearly lose to Dominic Reyes? And then go and say... Then he loses, he gets caught by fucking Jan. How do you think you're gonna go up and fucking... lose against a guy who just beat one of the GOATs? Because I don't see it happening. Unless you've somehow fucking gone insane mode, yeah? We finally saw... Ngannou fucking stuffed Stipe's takedown. But I wanna leave that for Wednesday. That's the thing. So, Ngannou definitely, when he beats John Jones and has a couple more fights, keeps defending. Because right now, he's the baddest man on the planet right now. I don't care what you say. So basically, that's my runner-up. That's realistically, he has so much.
Okay, so what would you say your top 5 of all time is then? I know I've got mine in front of me.
I haven't. I said I was gonna a cappella this, but it's so fucking difficult after talking about everyone.
My top 5 of all time. I've got number 1. I keep that same energy. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Number 2, I've got GSP. Number 3, I've got Randy Couture. Number 4, I've got DJ. Number 5, I've got Amanda Nunes.
Okay.
That's my top 5. But that's what I have written down. You know, after seeing you talking to me about Fedor, you know, I'm torn, you know, because I feel like Fedor could get in there. but
I'm not gonna lie. The way you started off your list, Khabib and GSP, because the thing is, people say GSP is better than Khabib, but the thing is, even though GSP did avenge those losses, he still lost. He still showed that
There
he was
was a
able
night.
to be beat.
Yeah.
He still
there was one night. Yeah.
There was never
a
a night. There was only two a round. Because let's be real, that Justin Gaethje round was bullshit. I don't care what you say. I'm not counting that.
Exactly, I agree.
There was
I agree.
only, in his whole career, there's only one round where he didn't do well. I don't care. Khabib is going to have to go number one. GSP definitely number two. Fuck. Fedor is going to have to go on that list. For sure.
Okay. You gonna go Fedor? Would you put Fedor over Couture though? That's my question. Fedor versus Couture, both of them in their prime. Who do you think
I
walks
have
away
Fedor
with the
all the
W?
way. I have Fedor all the way in his prime. I have Fedor.
For real?
Fedor in his prime could be any fucking... Fedor in his prime would be Ngannou.
I don't
Right
think
now.
so.
I don't care.
I don't-
Fedor in his prime.
I don't think so. I think, well, if they were to fight, like, right now, do you know what I mean? And he was prime Fedor now. Prime Fedor, if he was in UFC right now,
Prime Fedor
probably
would
be the
piece
champion.
Stipe, would piece John Jones, would piece Ngannou, and would piece DC. He would piece every single heavyweight right now. I don't care.
No, it's just the thing is, you can't, like, make that argument. In that you can, but you can't because we have no idea, you know what I mean?
I know, you could only speculate.
Because Fedor, if we were to say fight him now, yeah, that would mean prime Fedor would have all the recovery training methods that he didn't have when he was prime.
No,
you know what I mean? So it
I
would
don't-
change him.
I don't care about that.
Change
I don't
him, maybe
care
for the
about-
better.
Sean, we don't talk about that. We talk about going to a time machine, grabbing Fedor straight from 2004 and bringing
Well,
him
no, then.
right now.
Well, no.
He
No.
just had a camp. He is fresh. Bring him straight
wouldn't
to
beat him.
2020. He beats every single heavyweight fighter that's alive right now. I don't care. Prime, just like the same I was talking about.
Beat Ngannou.
Prime Connor beats everyone.
No.
Prime Fedor beats everyone. When you've got a prime fighter like those, like when you have special people like that, you have special fighters like that. I don't care who you put in front of them.
I disagree.
Your opinion is wrong.
No. I have to disagree. I have to disagree because GSP said it best that you have to understand and expect that fighters only get better over time. So Francis Ngannou, let's say you had Francis Ngannou the way he was prepped for this Stipe fight, and then you got prime Fedor. This is the guy who can knock you out in a punch. And I'm not saying Fedor can't knock someone out in a punch.
Are you
but he's not
forgetting?
gonna knock out fucking Francis in a punch.
Fedor Emelianenko's fucking one punch power.
Yeah, but against Ngannou though, do you think he's gonna knock out Ngannou in one punch?
Well, I'd
Do you think
say
any-
he'd-
do you
I'd say
think
he'd definitely
anyone could
drop
do
him.
that?
I'd say he'd definitely drop him.
You think any? I think Derek Lewis. That's about it. You need to be so much. You need to be so big to knock out Francis Ngannou.
I think he'd take him down and he'd win by TKO. I think he'd ground and pound him.
Do you think he could take down Francis though?
Yes.
The way he treated an All-American wrestler, Stipe Miocic.
Yep.
Really.
Well, you're talking about a 38-year-old Stipe Miocic versus a prime Fedor Emelianenko. I don't think it's even close, to be quite honest with you. I don't think it's even close. The man's ground game was disgusting. The man's striking game was disgusting. The man has only went down during these 10 years basically. And realistically, that's when he was kind of leaving his prime. Because he was in his prime back in the day when he was fighting people like Andrei Arlovsky, people like Mark Hunt, people like Mark Coleman, yeah? Twice even. People like Mirko Krokop. He was still beating them. It was disgusting, man. I don't care what you say. That man would be any heavyweight right now. Prime Fedor would be any heavyweight right now.
I don't think he beats Prime Ngannou. Like,
I
we
think
don't even
he
know.
beats Prime
We don't
Ngannou.
even know this. We don't even know if it is Prime Ngannou. This is the best Ngannou we've seen. Not
No,
Prime
this
Ngannou.
is this is Prime Ngannou right now. This
But you
is
don't
Prime
know that.
Ngannou. No, it
You
is
don't know that.
because back.
He could be even better when he fights John Jones.
I think
He could
this
be
is.
even
I think
better
right now
when he
where
fights
he is on his way, if not in his prime
His
right
wrestling
now.
only.
Because
But the thing
he
is,
not
Ngannou's
only-
wrestling only gets better. His
Yeah,
striking
I
only gets
understand
better.
that. Experience
only gets
always
better.
gets better. You always get better. But remember, your body starts getting fucked like a couple of years down the line. Do you know what I mean? You don't
I
get
just
any
think
younger.
if you go forward in time and you get the most prime Ngannou there will ever be versus the most prime Fedor, Ngannou would sleep him.
Well, if he catches him, yes. But I think Fedor Emelianenko was too quick. He was too powerful. His sambo game was on point. His ground game was on point. His striking game was on point. His wrestling game was on point. If Ngannou was to fucking swing a punch, he'd miss. I don't care. I don't care what you say, brother. Especially, let's not forget, what if they were fighting in the cage? Because remember, Fedor Emelianenko fought in rings. So adding that cage element to it, that's a wrestler's dream right there. Because Fedor would go
True.
up against the cage and do his work. What's Francis gonna do? Because he just cut you off. You could obviously still punch him, but you're not gonna
But
get as much.
Francis
wind
wrestling
back.
is good now. Like his
Well,
takedown
definitely,
defense.
because he has Usman,
and he-
the second coach of the year.
Exactly, but like, I think we're gonna go in circles all day talking about
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest,
yeah.
because let's be real, that's a fight that would go either way and it'd be a fun fight.
I
but it'll
think
never happen.
next,
and you
I
can
think-
only speculate.
Sean, what do you think? Next week we should talk about dream matchups
Possibly.
as the extra, because right now we could
That's
talk
gonna
about
be-
that all day. I think we've covered the GOATs. I have my list in MMA. We'll briefly touch up on the boxing GOATs, not as detailed as we did for MMA. We'll briefly touch on them, but I think one thing that we could definitely talk about is dream matchups and how they would go.
We'll say that's gonna be on that'll happen. This is like, so for ages we were saying we'll do the GOAT episode this, then, or then. You know, I think that's gonna be the new dream matchups. Will be coming soon, guys. But we
I
just
think
don't
we
know
have it
when.
next week. I think we have it next week. Because I
Potentially
think
soon.
it's a nice
But who
thing
knows?
since we're already in the mood to do it. We're already in the mood. We wait a week. We compose ourselves. We add extra people. We look at our GOATs lists compared, and then we basically what's it called? We'll talk about it next week. I think, guys. I think that's gonna be our Wednesday upload for next week. Of course, we're gonna have the normal podcast as well coming out every Saturday. But yeah, that's my MMA GOATs list, basically. Oh, I didn't cover actually number 4 and 5. So I said number 1, I said I said Khabib, GSP, Fedor Emelianenko. For me, this is actually so difficult to talk about.
I've gone DJ and Nunes for my 4 and 5.
To be honest, not adding DJ would be such a disservice to his career. It'd be so disrespectful. I think I'd have to add him in.
But you don't know about Nunes.
This is so.
See, I agree.
Amanda,
People
I guess,
disagree
yeah.
with Nunes. I know. I see why people disagree with Nunes being up there, because, yeah, of course, like, she's cleared the divisions. She's done so well as a fighter, but the big but is her competition anywhere near the same level as her? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is she, a lot of people, like, she fought Megan Anderson, who
As
we
a
found
title
out wasn't even
fight.
who we found out wasn't even in her bracket, realistically, stylistically. So, like, Amanda Nunes, I would put number 5, because I think she's cleared everyone, she's beat everyone, and she will continue to beat anyone. If she fights Shevchenko again, she's gonna beat her, I think. No matter who, this is how I see it. But it'll be interesting to see, 100%. I don't. So what I'm interested in, who would you go number 5? Do not
is
say
very.
who. Don't say Chael Sonnen. Don't say Chael Sonnen.
I'm not gonna say Chael Sonnen, but do you know what? I like to talk. I'm gonna talk about this when I talk about boxing, so I'm gonna mention it now. You know, when I talk about one of the like some of the greatest fighters, you could have fighters that are very consistent, and then sometimes what I like to do is I like to pluck out fighters during certain periods, and I think that not putting in this man, it would be a disservice, because not only what he has done for the UFC outside of the cage, but what he has done inside. I think prime motivated Conor McGregor has to be on the list. I think he has
That
to be on the list. I don't care what you say.
boy,
Prime.
if someone's listening this long, and they're in that would spark the first comment ever seen on this channel. Honestly, man. To say fuck off. What are you talking about, man?
Prime motivated, broke, karate stance, cornrows Conor was different
Cornrows. Okay,
gravy.
Tibby.
Was
Oi.
different gravy. Okay? Because not
He was.
only the shit that he did for the UFC, he brought so many people's attention. Because realistically, Sean, do you think the UFC would be where they're at now without Conor? If Conor never existed?
No.
Well, there you go. I think it'd be such a disservice not to put him on the list. And again, boys, I'm saying this now, yeah? I went a cappella on this. I have to put in so much research. Like, I'd have to put in, like, a couple days worth. And that's why we're going to revisit this later in the year, where we're going to do a more revised version. Because obviously TJ's coming back soon. We're going to have Dominic potentially fight. You know what I mean? We're gonna have Conor fight as well. We're gonna basically have a bunch of fights. So realistically, I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
But right now, I think it'd be a disservice not to put in prime, motivated, broke, karate stance Conor McGregor. He was mentally undefeated. His mentality was different. His aura, his energy was different, and his fighting style was different as well. And that's why I'm putting him in. I'm not gonna lie, I have to put him in there.
You know, I could see it over Amanda Nunes. I would say no.
Amanda
In
Nunes
terms
is
of-
the GOAT. I'm gonna have to say that though.
In terms of fighting, not what they've done for the company. In terms
Well,
of fighting,
yeah, I'm saying this
I
as well.
think
Motivated
I know,
Conor was
I know,
different
I know,
gravy
but-
as well.
no, I see that, but for me, I put Amanda Nunes in that number
Fair
5.
enough. Fair enough.
Okay, for boxing, I'm gonna just lay it out for you. My top 3: Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, and Mike Tyson.
Your top 3, yeah?
That's just ever. I did no research in that. That's just off the top of my head.
Well, Sean, I'm gonna go top 2 for mine. I'm not gonna go top 3. I'm gonna go top 2. I'm gonna have to mention Floyd Mayweather as number 2, because he was the most consistent fighter of all time. The guy worked like he was broke always. He kept the same mentality. When people say keep the same energy, he did that perfectly. He was making millions, billions in fact, because he made $1 billion in like 3 or 4 fights in the last decade. And he still had the work rate of a fucking horse. Sean, the greatest fighter to ever hail the earth. I don't care what you say. I'm doing a Conor McGregor on this. Yeah? Prime late 1980s custom model Mike Tyson is the greatest fighter to ever hail this earth. I don't care what you say. Put Mike Tyson, but in 1986 Mike Tyson, when he won the World Heavyweight Championship, yeah? Stick him in with any single fighter right now, be it Tyson Fury, be it anyone, be it AJ, be it Deontay, maybe older fighters, Lennox Lewis, Klitschko, put him maybe even Muhammad Ali. He beats every single fighter out there when it comes to boxing. He was the best, and you can't tell me otherwise. That's what I believe.
I can see that and I agree, man. But I just think Floyd's number. I would just put Floyd
Oh,
at number one.
Floyd. I'm talking about Floyd as a whole career, but mentioning
Yeah.
Mike, because obviously Mike definitely had blemishes in his
So,
whole, not even
okay,
just in
so
his
with-
career, in his life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Because,
let me
like-
ask you.
Yeah,
Let me
go
ask
for
you.
it, go for it.
Would you say, of all time, based on consistency and ability,
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather, but of one off this version of a certain fighter,
Mike
you would
Tyson.
say
Mike Tyson. Prime Mike Tyson is the greatest fighter to ever hail the
Would
earth.
you say Would you say there's no version of Floyd Mayweather better than this guy, or no version of Muhammad Ali, or Tyson Fury, or anyone we've ever seen that was better?
No, I don't think there's a single. I think if you put in prime Muhammad Ali, prime Tyson Fury, yeah, prime
A
anyone
triple threat
against
match.
Mike Tyson would go on top. Mike Tyson was different, bro. Mike Tyson was different. His mentality was different. His fighting style was different. He won the fights before he even went into the ring. That's the thing. Just like Conor McGregor, he won the fights before he even went into the ring. And
The intimidation was scary.
the intimidate it just everything felt so perfectly. Not only the area that he was born in, it was a rough area, Brownsville, New York, yeah. Not only that, yeah, his genetics were disgraceful, yeah. He was like 200 pounds at like 13 years old, yeah. Then he somehow found Customato's gym. Customato tailoring the perfect game plan to him. And then fucking just making the greatest heavyweight champion, the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. And to be honest, the greatest boxer, the greatest fighter of all time in that specific period, that specific fighter, Mike Tyson, 1980s, prime Customato Mike, is the greatest boxer to ever hail this earth. But talking longevity-wise, 50-0. That's all I have to say. I literally have to say those numbers. 50 wins, 0 losses. Just like Khabib, although there were definitely rounds where Mayweather lost a lot of rounds, let's be real. But Mayweather never lost a fight. He never showed. You could count on one hand how many times he's really been in trouble, Sean. That's the thing.
True.
Which is disgusting because he's always faced the top guys. You know, he wasn't out there fighting against bums. Maybe when he started off his career, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like every boxer, though.
And the thing is, he was robbed in the Olympics as well. Just like Roy Jones Jr. was. He was robbed there. But he came in and he beat the best. He was just the best. What can I say? The best ever. The TBE. The best ever. And again, he brought eyes, because the thing is, the fighting is not only, you know, a sport. It's like what people do, yeah. It's entertainment at the end of the day. People do it for money. People watch it to be entertained, yeah. And the entertainment factor that he brought in was phenomenal, because even if you hated him, you hated his guts, you'd still tune in to watch because you wanted him to lose. And
You wanted to watch this guy getting knocked out. Pretty
Yeah,
boy
basically.
Floyd Money Mayweather, no matter what version, you wanted to see this guy on the canvas, which is the reason that the notorious McGregor and him sold so much.
Oh, for sure.
Because everyone wanted to see, well, all of boxing wanted to see Floyd do this guy in.
The most popular
But
MMA
all of
fighter
MMA
versus the
wanted to
most
see
popular
Floyd.
boxer.
You know?
It's always gonna make fucking filthy buys. Always.
Exactly.
But that's my list, man. That is my MMA list. That's my boxing list.
The exact same. I'm done for the day, I believe. Thank you guys for watching and for listening, I would say. Hope you guys enjoy this. This is the first ever episode going out on a Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Let us know if you like 2 a week or 1 a week. But we'll be leaving that off now. We'll be saying goodbye, enjoying our Easter break, filming some more, well, recording some more, I should say. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a comment down below. And yeah, cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Later.